So I study Parkinson's disease patients with implanted deep brain stimulation electrodes from which we can record local field potentials. We can convert the local field potential time series to power spectra representing the activity. And the main question of my talk is, how does the subthalamic nucleus activity relate to Parkinson's disease motor symptoms? There are different ways how to extract power from spectra, and most research use normalized power. And it was found that normalized low beta power correlates with the motor symptoms of Parkinson's. But we wondered how applicable this effect actually is. And to our surprise, only 1 out of 5 data sets confirmed this hypothesis. So does it mean it's wrong? No, because if we pool all data, we do find a significant positive correlation. However, a sample size estimation showed that we would need at least 116 patients to replicate this at a statistical power of 80%. In the literature, most studies used only 13 patients. And while the data sets in my case were all larger than this, individually they were still too small to detect this effect. This highlights that we need really much larger sample sizes. But if we apply the so-called FOOF method to separate periodic and aperiodic components of the spectrum, we observe a significant negative correlation for the aperiodic offset, a positive correlation for low beta, and a negative correlation for low gamma oscillations. These 3 components explain distinct variance of the motor symptom severity, and therefore, combining them using linear regression, we observe a correlation coefficient of 0.47, which is significantly larger. This highlights that frequencies beyond beta are related to disease severity. A previous study has found that the source of high beta coincides with the best deep brain stimulation target, the so-called sweet spot. In this study, they used normalized power and they focused on the high beta range, and we could replicate their correlation in our cohort. But if we reanalyze the same data without normalization and only focus on the periodic component of high beta, we observe a much stronger and significantly stronger relationship. If we compare the normalized high beta on top and the periodic high beta on bottom, we observe a much better correspondence with the sweet spot for the purely periodic high beta component. We also know that Parkinson's disease symptoms can be lateralized, and we were wondering whether this is also reflected in the spectra. So we compared the less affected to the more affected side of the body, and we observed a strong broadband shift, significant up to 190 Hz at the group level. Here's one exemplary patient, and the less affected side had a bradykinesia rigidity score of 8, and the more affected side had a score of 12, and the pink aperiodic broadband power is strongly elevated for the more affected side. Across all patients, we observe a within-patient correlation of 0.41. Mid-gamma power captures this broadband shift, also correlates across all patients at 0.38, and could be implemented as an adaptive deep brain stimulation biomarker. But why is it that the broadband is elevated for the more affected hemisphere? Red data show that increased subthalamic spiking leads to elevations of the broadband, and in humans, Bogosian has showed that the mean gamma band power, which we suggested as a biomarker, also indicates spiking activity. In Parkinson's, we know that spiking of the subthalamic nucleus can be excessive. The aperiodic broadband power seems to capture this spiking, and for this reason, aperiodic broadband power might reflect Parkinson's disease severity. So the preprint for this research was uploaded yesterday. You can scan it with this QR code. And with that, I would like to thank my supervisors and all my collaborators for their help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this talk.